Hey, it's Tuesday. I'm Dominic D'Angelo. It's Rumor and Innuendo of adfreeshows.com. I'm of scoops.com as well and of OneTrueSportTV.com. But I am here, per usual, with Mr. Robert Karpelis, WWE Creative _ish. We're ready to talk some Raw. We're ready to talk some WWE ID. What's that all about? Wow. Robert, good to speak with you today, though.
Nice to see you, even if you do have that mustache. We're trying to make it work here, despite the fact that Don looks like he should not be near a school or a park or pretty much anywhere where people are. But you know where some of the people are right now, which is in the comment section. And say hi to some of the folks. Johnny Disco checking in early for R&I. Can't wait for the countdown to startle me because I'm working on another tab. Hopefully you were prepared and your heart is okay. Alt Jake said, good morning, R&Iers. Looking forward to NXT tonight. If no Obafemi, think he's main roster bound. I don't. I think that they still have a lot to do with him in NXT. I think that there's still opportunities with him to pursue the NXT championship. I think he's a big star for them on CW. And then eventually you can move him up to up there. And then Wrestling Old Head, R&I, it's Tuesday. Sammy's up to no good. And what is up? NXT. Sure.
Hey, look at just those few couple of comments. We're already getting a little bit of buzz going on about NXT. I think it speaks to what they kind of been doing down there. I almost feel like Obafemi should get called up, Robert. I think they just need a fresh top heel in the mix, and putting somebody right in the baptism by fire kind of thing. I think could really elevate either SmackDown or Raw, depending on where they go to, and add a new name into the mix. I know they got a lot of people up there, but to get somebody like Obafemi, I think. Maybe it's too soon, but I wouldn't be against it for sure.
I think he's a big time star. I think the challenge, honestly, with moving Obafemi up to Raw or SmackDown is the message that you're sending to the CW. You know, the CW has been giving you this TV time. Obviously, you're drawing a decent rating on the back of a number of talents, including Obafemi. And if the idea is, okay, you're building this guy up, he's getting white hot, and now you're going to take him and he's going to go benefit USA and not us, is a little bit of relationship management that I think that they need to be concerning themselves with to some degree. And if Obafemi, quite frankly, were to go to Raw or SmackDown right now, he could get lost in the shuffle. I think there's a lot of stuff going on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown as you're getting into arguably the busiest time of the year. You know, we're in that corridor where Raw last night was quote unquote building to Crown Jewel. They know Crown Jewel doesn't count. They know that it is a one-off nonsense thing. We all know that's always been the case for these Saudi shows. They kind of have to do them, but nothing of genuine, true material significance really seems to occur in front of that crowd. And Raw last night was building to Survivor Series. It was building to the Royal Rumble. It was building to WrestleMania. That's where their focus is right now. So introducing a guy like Obafemi while all this is going on means they have to come up with something for him. And on Raw, your big, bright, shining star of the future is clearly Braun Breaker. And on SmackDown, I feel like in the coming weeks and months, we're going to see it's Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. I think it's just somebody like a Damian Priest will need an eventual dance partner when it comes to somebody in putting Obafemi into something like Judgment Day to kind of re-elevate them and get them back in the mix might be something. But yeah, I think to your point, there's a lot of talent they can already use and kind of make the most of. And I think that's a good point too about the CW and making them have value. Raw, let's talk Raw. Actually have it in order this time. Robert too, believe it or not.
I'm so proud. I mean, granted, it's a 2-hour show. It's a little easier for you.
It's a little bit more.
Not only is it 2 hours, 11 minutes of it was Jey Uso's entrance.
Yes, it was. Yes, Jey Uso came out to a good reaction in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And then Jimmy Uso came out.
Were you not there?
I was not there. That's a middle of the state, Robert. That's no man's land. That's Purgatory, Pennsylvania, right there, sir.
I've been to Hershey, PA once. We did the tour and the whatever.
I saw the Hershey Bears hockey team play, and then we went to the Mad Elf.
What a great gesture you should be doing on camera. The way your arms were that we could have lost our that Blue Chew would have been thrilled. But
They
I
would
don't
be
know.
great. Mhm.
Anyway,
What'd you think,
that
Robert, of this segment here?
so again, you're building to a SmackDown that's already taped.
Yes, I was thinking that too.
I'm not going to spoil anything. I won't do that. You guys know that I don't believe in doing that sort of thing. But when you have this idea of Jimmy coming out there telling Jay, you gotta confront Roman on Friday. You guys gotta talk. Well, they're only saying that because you have to logically know, okay, there was a confrontation that happened in some way, shape, or form. What the outcome of it, we're not getting into, but it's you're talking to something that already happened, and I think that's where it loses a little bit of the spontaneity that you would have liked in this situation because there is a little bit of dramatic tension. The idea of Jimmy and Jay, we saw them hug on SmackDown, but there's still some residual issues. The idea of Jay Uso saying, "Look, I came here to Raw. I did my mission. I became my own man. They know who I am now. You know, I
Mhm.
became main event Jay Uso. I became a intercontinental champion. I became the main event guy on this show in a lot of ways. There's still a lot of residual tension between us. And that residual tension got shifted from the Jimmy J relationship to Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. And
Yeah.
we've talked about on here for weeks and weeks and weeks. Sami Zayn felt like the last guy who was going to get involved in this War Games match. And I don't want to say I'm clairvoyant here, but I can see the future, Dom. And the
Ooh,
future is that mustache getting you in a lot of trouble.
listen, it's been the talk of the town when I am at Whole Foods and everything. Everybody likes the mustache, Robert. It's it. It's in a boxing class. I gave a thumbs up there too.
Oh,
So
absolutely, because people see that and they immediately want to punch you. It
that's
is
it.
a
I got a punch.
very punchable mustache. I'm
Very
kidding. We love it. It works. You've got a little bit of like a downtown Bruno Harvey Wimpleman 2024 vibe.
I did
Uh,
get that yesterday.
it does. It works. It works nicely, and you're wearing the Jets hat, so you know.
Listen, I was not the culprit. I found out last week, so I'm putting it back on. I don't
I'm still
care.
blaming the Yankees' loss on you, just for it happening.
You're right.
This is on you, Dom. But there was other stuff that happened on Monday Night Raw beyond
Yeah.
the initial Jimmy and Jay segment.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we sticking with
Sheamus,
Sam? Are we going
Ludwig.
someplace else? Yes, Sheamus Ludwig Kaiser.
Yes, but Sheamus is becoming Mister Monday Night Raw. I would say, Robert. He's the steady Eddie on there, right?
Why he's going to wind up doing a podcast with you at some point?
Maybe. What would you
You are
call
the shame to listen to.
that? That's pretty good. I like that one. Mm-mm. What do you think of
Anyway,
this match?
so this match was fine. The
Mhm.
idea in part was it was Sheamus's 15-year anniversary of his debut on Raw, so they want to acknowledge that. It was a way to
15
put
years.
15 year that doesn't the fact that it's been 19 years 18 years since I left the company, like it's wild to look at that and be like, when I worked with Dominic Mysterio, he was your size.
You don't
But
know how tall I am.
that is a good point. We'll find this out in Vegas when I find out you're 6'11". It's
I'm sorry.
it's just you and Satnam Singh standing next to each other. Omos is looking up to talk to you. Hey, boss. Anyway, Ludwig Kaiser is incredible. He's clearly somebody that they have faith in. This was just sort of, we're going to put this match out here to tell somewhat of a story of the idea that Sheamus wants gold. So we're teeing him up to probably be the next person to challenge Braun Breaker. So let's get him a couple of quality wins. We've moved on from the Pete Dunne Butch feud. We're now trying to move on from the Ludwig Kaiser feud. And when you see Sheamus getting a bit of momentum going, he still has never won the Intercontinental title.
Right.
I
The
don't
only
know
one.
why. I don't know why he cares. I think if you are within the world of kayfabe, you care about winning the world title. Winning the Intercontinental title, winning the U.S. title is great if you've never held gold before and you have to work your way up the ranks. But you don't go from world champion to I'm really, really excited that I may be the WWE Speed champ.
Yeah, yeah. But I will say, for Sheamus's sake, going after the Intercontinental title is the only one he hasn't won, not counting the Speed title.
That's
Because
okay. But they're not checking off boxes. They're not playing bingo. They're supposed to be singularly focused on I am a former world champion. I am going to go after the world title. It's kind of like if you are a pro athlete and you won the World Series and you're like, you know what, but I never won at double A. Take me out of
well,
my
I
out of
would
my
say
prime and send me down to double A baseball and let's see what happens.
you can maybe look at it though, like, okay, I won a World Series, but I want to get better at defense. I want to win a Golden Glove. Is that a fair argument?
No.
No.
Those are it's individual versus titles. It's a story. It's fine. It gives them something to do. I think Braun Breaker and Sheamus beating the hell out of each other is only going to help Braun Breaker going
Hmm.
forward. So I like that idea. Kaiser getting any reps on TV always going to be a positive.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm all for a Sheamus Braun Breaker feud. Um, are you for the Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed feud and how they've been executing this? They fought to the back. Well, they fought in the back and they had a big back truck spot. I guess that happened.
They
So,
did.
what do you think of that?
I love the way that this was framed and shot. Seth in the
Mhm.
ring cutting a promo was always going to be grim death for me because
Didn't like his outfit. Really weird.
he doesn't say anything of consequence.
Mm-mm.
It's there was a Gunther pre-tape interview where he was talking about Cody, where he doesn't say anything, but he says it with conviction,
Yes.
and you're kind of plugged in.
Hmm.
Seth, it's going to be, and that's the promo. Bronson Reed,
Hey. Ah.
Saudi. So when Bronson showed up on the screen, I'm like, good, we're not getting a 20-minute Seth Rollins promo. The brawl in the back was cool. The use of the truck was interesting. The curb stomp onto the hood of the car was a great move. The fact that Bronson Reed rose up in the back after like a monster movie,
Yes.
tremendous blocking. Like they're really doing complex stuff when you're doing a live shoot like that to be able to pick all those components up. The only nitpick when Bronson Reed put Seth Rollins through a table,
Hmm.
what was on that table?
There was like orange tape or
Orange
something.
bubble wrap,
Yes.
big reams of bubble wrap. I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, you couldn't have cleared like production, clear that table right before that spot. The table's gimmicked, it's safe. But when I see the bubble wrap, I know they didn't use it, but subconsciously you're like, oh well, it's a table full of bubble wrap. It's a little odd.
Little like a ball pit guy kind of going on.
But good physical, whatever. As we've said, when you're dealing with the Saudi show, you want to make it as simple and straightforward as possible, and you cut that up and you put that on the screen in Riyadh or Jeddah. I don't know where we are for this show. Uh,
Riyadh.
they can Riyadh. They can understand that story. Big guy put little guy through table. Why is
Nailed it.
there bubble wrap? Got it.
Bingo. Big exception I took was Seth had the blue jacket on. Then he took off the blue jacket and it looked like he just had another blue jacket on. It's
He's a man of many coats. That's his new
the,
character.
the thing is like you okay, this is Seth's thing or whatever, but at this point in time, you're trying to like get this serious feud going. Get rid of all that crap. It takes me legitimately takes me out of it. I'm just like he looks ridiculous. I can't get behind him.
Part of it is like that's just the way Seth always dresses. He always dresses in these very uncomfortable looking, bizarre outfits. And guys, that's not an issue that you need to have anymore. Thanks to our friends at True Classic.
Yes.
It is a sponsor that I am so over the moon pumped and excited for. So True Classic, peek behind the curtain. I mean, I had a bunch of True Classic stuff. They sent us some stuff to try out and wear. And one of the things that was in my care package from our friends at True Classic were these black and gray sweatpants. They were like athletic sweatpants, and my wife fully stole one of them immediately and is like, "These are now going to be pajama bottoms for me." It's got a string. She's able to tie it up. Super comfortable. Felt great. She slept wonderfully last night. big fan of those. I got to keep the black ones. I'll be able to use those when it gets a little cooler out to go running. They feel incredible. The shirts fit beautifully, and they gave us some boxer shorts, some boxer briefs, and
Hmm.
got that shaped you beautifully. That's all I'm going to say. We're not going to get
Good
into any
stuff.
specific details there, but these things, they know how to make them fit. They're high quality. They got t-shirts, hoodies, jeans. Best thing about this is once you find the size that works for you, you can get packs of 3, 6, 9 different versions of it. So I got shirts in black, gray, white. I got a purple, I got a pink. Your entire wardrobe is outfitted. You're always going to look great. These are high quality. They're 100% perfect fit, and they're guaranteed. And it's an easy return. If it gets shipped to you and you don't love it, you go back to them. They can adjust it. You'll be perfectly fine. They're trusted by over 4 million customers and over 200,000 plus reviews. I'm giving the review right here. It fits my body type. It fits Dom's body type at 11 and a half feet tall. And guys, fall is here. It's time to step up your game. Right now, you can unlock big savings when you bundle packs. Just go to our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/rumor to save. That's trueclassic.com/rumor. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. And speaking of elevation, they certainly elevated Sami Zayn's involvement in the Bloodline storyline as we got some intrigue, Mr.
We did get
D'Angelo.
some intrigue, Robert. We did. Jimmy and Jay backstage, uh, and then suddenly Sami Zayn pops into the screen, and Sammy wants to have a conversation with just Jay before a tense stare down with Jimmy. Jimmy grants it after Jay kind of calms him down a little bit, and they have a conversation, and it's one that is gets a little contentious. Where Sammy's like, "I don't know what you're doing. You don't need to be in this fight. This is not your fight anymore." And then Jay fires back, uh, saying basically, "Hey, I do need to be involved in this. You don't understand because you're not family." And you can tell that cut Sammy pretty good on that one. And then he's like, "Okay," and walks off. Robert, what did you think of this segment? We did talk about Sami Zayn getting involved in the Survivor Series War Games excursion with this, but did you see this kind of route being taken?
So this is all leading to the prediction that I've had all along with this, the idea that yeah, Sammy's going to be suspicious about what's going on because you're pulling him back into this bloodline nonsense. The shot of him talking to Solo in the truck,
Hmm.
different truck than John Moxley's truck.
Yes.
Thankfully, it's a nice SUV. You're not making Tamatonga and Tongaloa sit in the open cab in the back. Um, I like this little bit of intrigue of where does Sammy's allegiances lie. So when you put him into war games, if he does ultimately turn on Jimmy and Jay, if that is where this is going, you've now set those breadcrumbs here. And the fact that Sammy has the same objections that Kevin Owens does aligns those guys perfectly. So there's definitely some intrigue. It's a way to pull in Raw and SmackDown. And kudos to Adam Pearce for taking the time to explain that he knew Jimmy Uso was going to be there. He gave him a special hall pass because when Jimmy first came out, I'm like, wait a minute, that's a SmackDown guy. This is Raw.
This is Raw, baby. This is Raw.
Couple quick notes, and then I want to get to this WWE ID story because I think that's really, really interesting. The triple threat tag match, LWO, New Day, and Viking Raiders. We kind of predicted that Chad Gable was going to get involved.
You did, yeah.
Ended up
Hmm.
happening.
It did end up happening. And I think that's a fair way to handle it. It'll be interesting getting War Raiders involved with Judgment Day. I think it's kind of setting the tone. They're gonna. I think I would have to say the War Raiders will win this, and you have two different types of tag teams on each brand that are the champions with the War Raiders, and then you have Motor City Machine Guns on SmackDown. It's a pretty neat setup, and I think it does hit the refresh button on their tag divisions, which I think they greatly needed. So I like it, Robert. I like the execution. What did you think of the not Judgment Day, the Final Testament, Miz, and that whole stuff going on with R-Truth as well?
It was surprisingly super entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that Miz doesn't want to get sucked into what Final Testament is doing because like these guys are crazy, but why aren't you trying to kill me? So let me go butter myself up to R-Truth, and then R-Truth laying out Miz
Yep.
was tremendous, and it was this moment of like lucidity before he then saw Pete Dunne is like, "Hey Butch, say hi to Pete for me." It's like, okay, so he's goofy with everybody except Miz.
Yeah.
Nice little TV feud. Karrion Kross's interactions with Miz was a lot of fun. This is kind of the best use of Karrion Kross that I've seen since he's been on the main roster. I think he has a dude with some charisma. You just got to kind of find the right spot for him.
I completely agree, and I think this is the right way to do it too, for sure. Um, we had Damian Priest taking on Dom Mysterio in the main event. Any takeaway from this? Just seems to set some things up again. Dominic gets the upset win, and that's how the show closes out.
Yeah, Priest is still angry with Judgment Day. Finn is the one who he's like, he wants to fight Priest. He still hates Damian Priest. Dominic Mysterio obviously going to win the title against Gunther. Nice long reign. He's going to change the business. Dom is just amazing. You can put that dude in any spot and he just delivers. He knows how to sell. He's such a great little cowardly heel. That is training at its finest. And Dom, speaking of training, there's a story here that I am particularly intrigued by.
Yes, today WWE made the announcement that they are launching the WWE ID. It's been constructed to support independent wrestling prospects and wrestling schools with world-class training, development, and mentorship. The press release said, under the program, WWE will provide prominent independent wrestling schools with the WWE ID official designation, with the goal of providing new trainees and existing talent at these select institutions with enhanced developmental opportunities. Booker T's Reality of Wrestling out in Houston, Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy, Davenport, Iowa, Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center in Concord, New Hampshire, Knox X Pro Academy in Los Angeles are the first independent wrestling schools to earn the official designation. So, additionally, WEID will identify the top independent wrestling prospects with an official WWE ID prospect designation and support their developmental journey by providing financial opportunity and assisting with training, mentorship, and developmental, including access to world-class facilities, best-in-class ring training, athletic trainers, and more. WEID will give fans the opportunity to follow the paths of these standout prospects on the independent wrestling scene through curated behind-the-scenes content, as well as highlights and matches showcased across WWE's social platforms. Robert, this is some big news, and they're embedding themselves all across the wrestling industry. They had the NIL program, and now, hey, we get the independent wrestling kind of connection going on with a lot of prominent names involved as well.
This is beyond massive what
Mm-hmm.
WWE has done here, because now they are at the most grassroots level, getting their tentacles in across the country with these wrestling schools. Where they've been able to recruit with NXT has been twofold. There's been the Next in Line program where they're already out recruiting college athletes and providing them financial incentive to ultimately come to NXT and train from scratch at the NXT facility. But these are world-class athletes because they're playing football, baseball, gymnastics, swimming, whatever that may be. When they get independent wrestlers that get on their radar, that are usually filtered to them from, they get a call from the Nightmare Factory, or they get a call from Reality of Wrestling, or they get a call from the Dudleys, or whatever one of these schools, Gangrel School, and they're like, hey, here's somebody you should take a look at. They're going to take a look at him. They're going to bring him up to NXT, and they're probably going to have to undo a lot of the bad habits to get them ready for WWE TV. And this cuts that timing in half. If they're able to say, here's the general rubric and the curriculum that we want to see, here are the schools that we believe are training these wrestlers into the WWE style from day one, massive. And then these guys have a pipeline into NXT as opposed to just the open tryouts that they do, and they hope that they're going to catch people. Where this is going to help WWE in the next 3, 5, 10 years is you're going to get guys all across the indies that have been trained in that WWE style, and they're not going to go and look and sign elsewhere. They're
Mm-hmm.
not going to potentially wind up wrestling for Ring of Honor or AEW. This is cornering the market at the ground level. And I think it's a really, really smart idea. I think that they're going to get a ton of talent out of this, the same way they get a ton of talent out of the collegiate athletic world. The thing that always boggled my mind with Tony Khan was the Nightmare Factory Association and not exploiting that. QT Marshall, our all-time number one, runs that facility. Yes, with Cody Rhodes, but It's in Atlanta. Wasn't that far from Jacksonville. That is exactly where AEW talent should have been training their folks. That's why they had Dark and Dark Elevation. The fact that they don't have a feeder system, a training program, means you're watching a lot of people learn on the fly. And when that happens, it's a very steep learning curve. So WWE kind of is eating Tony Khan's lunch in a lot of ways by doing this. This is going to feed into this NXT pipeline, and they're going to be able to spot talent at a number of different levels, both traditionally and non-traditionally. This is going to be pretty incredible, Dom. You know who I'm curious to hear? Genuinely, I'm not being a jerk about this here. Would be Magnum TA and Greg Gagne and their takes on it, because Magnum was obviously one of those guys recruited in the old school way of, "Hey, brother, you got a good look. Can we talk to you about some wrestling?"
That's it.
And Greg Gagne and in the AWA, they were a non-consensual developmental territory for WWF.
Right.
We're going
Well,
to
it's
build all
interesting.
these guys, and you take them from us.
Yeah, and Magnum TA, he was basically. We asked him, like, how were you kind of trained? How did you get started off? He wasn't trained really by anybody. He got scammed by, I want to say it was Buzz Sawyer, scammed him out of money, and then he just had to survive. And like he made some headway in Portland and certain things like that, and learned on the fly. Basically, it was basically just his look that got him over to start off, and his amateur wrestling background. So I'm intrigued to get that too, guys. You can check that out this week. We'll be likely be recording on Thursday, fourhorsemannetwork.com, onetruesporttv.com. You can tune in live, ask some questions. Gagne and Magnum, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time typically, so check that out. I'll also be intrigued to hear about what Rob might have to say. Rob Van Dam, one of a kind with RVD. We'll likely record maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll figure it out. But RVDTV.com, tune in there. You can tune in on RVD's YouTube channel live. You can tune in on One True Sport TV live and ask Rob some questions there too. Robert, I'll be interesting to see what you have to say to Scott Chaplin about all this stuff too.
Yeah, Scott Chapman and I will be recording this Thursday for Working Stiff. It'll be up Thursday afternoon. We'll be previewing a little bit of what's going on with Crown Jewel. We'll be talking about AEW Dynamite. We're talking about all things WWE, all things World of Wrestling and comedy, and all kinds of other weird tangents. And the fact that we can say the F word, which is always fun. We can't say it here, but we will be here live every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative _ISHX account, the SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on ad-free shows, Rumor and Innuendo, and Working Stiff. I will actually be off on Friday, but Dom has a potential special guest lined up, someone else who is known to use profanity on this show. But we will see, and a couple other irons in the fire going on here for Rumor and Innuendo. So stay tuned for those announcements. So on behalf of that damn mustache, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Bye, diddly-o, neighbors.